Okay, so I've been asked quite a lot why I'm mending the line constantly. This is mainly on floating fly line. Now, for those of you who aren't sure as to what we're talking about when we're saying mending the line, you'll always see once they put the cast out, they flick the line across. That's mending your line. It's to present the fly in the best possible way to get the depth, the speed. So it's about control, and why I am mending on still water is because we got the wind. I think the easiest way is for me to explain this is go through a process that I go through each time I get onto the water. The first thing I'll always do when I get onto a water is sit and just watch the water. I may well obviously have a cup of tea and I'm watching the water. What I'm looking for is signs from the fish, something that's going on. I want to find out what sort of level they're at. I want to find out what speed they're at. More importantly, what they're probably eating. Now, a lot of the times we're never going to find out. But if we do see a rise form, that can be a good clue as to what depth the fish is at and how aggressively they're feeding, if you like. So if a fish is coming up and it's rising just gently, that angle that they're picking, you know they're going to be quite high in the water. If it's coming up quite more sharply and you see a lot more of the fish, you know he's probably a lot deeper. Sometimes they're coming up and they're making a big splash and they're taking more aggressively. Sometimes you might see a few fish, they might be 4-6 foot or more down, and sometimes they're just moving gently. So what I'm looking for then, I ain't going to go with a weighted pattern because that means I've got to fish it a lot quicker, and I can see these fish are moving gently. I want to present a pattern that they're going to feel comfortable with. So I want a pattern that's almost hanging there or just moving slowly. So it's more of watch the water, check it out, choose my pattern, present it. So I've got my pattern on now. Let's say for these conditions, the fish moving slowly, I'm obviously myself, I'm going more natural as I normally do, and let's say I'm putting on a small size 14, normally tied then to fish them levels is normally on a dry hook. It'll be lightly tied. So before I put that out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the margins with the tippet, with my braid. Now I always fish with braids, whether it's a floating braid, intermediate braid, slow sink, fast sink. Put the whole lot in and just see how quickly that's going down. Now sometimes we're fishing in dead flat water. Now that could take a while to go down because once you cast in, surface can hold your tippet up. So allow for that. Once I've seen in the margins what's going on, I can put my first cast out and I've got a rough idea as to where that pattern's going to be at any time because I've seen it in the margins dropping. So I put that out. So if I'm say, and I've seen plenty of fish moving in 4-6 foot, I know I gotta let that drop, but I want to keep it in that zone as slowly as you can, and hopefully you get picked up. Now if you're getting picked up at that point, that's great, but after a short while you're not getting any more knocks and there's certainly no more fish. So then you start to think to yourself, have the fish gone down, have they moved off? But one thing that you haven't accounted for, and it's the wind. Let's say now the wind is picked up, coming from right to left, and the wind's picked up. What's happened is that wind is picking your fly line up, and it's keeping it higher, and it's moving it a lot faster. So you're out of the zone, and you're moving faster, and the fish just aren't switched on by that faster pace. They may well follow it, and sometimes you might get a bit of a knock, but they're not turned on by this pattern any longer because it's too high, too fast. So you need to compensate for that. So the first thing I'll do then is put a small mend in. As I'm putting the cast out, I'll make a small mend, and as it's fishing around, you can put in as many mends you want. Now don't make aggressive mends because you're fishing with a very light pattern. You make an aggressive mend and you're just going to pull it straight up again. Just make a small mend in front of you. Just mend it. Every little mend, even if it's only flicking the line a couple of foot, it makes a massive difference out at that other end, and you're going to be able to maintain that depth and the speed, and hopefully you start picking fish up again. And as the wind picks up, obviously another thing is happening here. As the wind picks up, there is such a thing as undertow. All waters have undertow. Undertow generally works in the opposite direction to the wind, but as the wind picks up, the undertow picks up. So you need to allow for that as well. Stronger winds, generally, even with the light pattern, what I'll do is put the cast out, make an initial mend straight away. If I'm wanting to fish the pattern higher and quicker, then I'll put that out, tighten up, and just let the wind do it. But if I know that that light pattern needs to be lower, then obviously I've got to put that out, make a mend, and keep mending all the way around. Now there's another way around this, is you can actually, if you think about this, you float and fly line across that wind. So there's your line, there's the wind. At that angle, you're going to pick up the worst of the wind. So that's going to pick that line up quite quickly and move it quite quickly too, and pull the fly right up. Greater the angle, the less effect the wind has on your line. So you've got to think about that. So if you want to get that pattern down a bit lower without mending, you change the angle, so wherever the angle goes. Another one is you can actually walk up the bank. Now this would be, if I want to put my pattern out there and not cast downward, I don't want to be my fly down there. I'm picking fish up here and you're confident there's fish there and not there, and you want to present it there, cross that wind. You've only got two choices. One is to mend, or just walk up the bank a little bit, and then you can present it down and across the wind. So, you know, you can gain the depth and the pace just by walking. You only need to walk up a couple of meters and it makes a big difference. So that's why I'm mending all the time. There's a lot of things with presentation. Somebody might ask me, okay, presentation with weighted flies. Much the same. As I say, it's a lot harder presenting and maintaining a depth of a weighted pattern going down. Obviously it's going to drop a lot quicker, so to pick that up, that means you're going to move quicker, so that pattern is going to move a lot quicker. And this is why when the fish are slow, I'll pick more natural patterns, unweighted, so I can present them where they want to be. If I want the pattern then to be deeper but a bit quicker, then I add the weight to the pattern. More often than not, when we tie the patterns that we're happy with and we know we can present them at different levels, we'll weight them as according. Sometimes they'll be tied with a bit of lead, a small amount of lead, so they've got a little bit more weight. Sometimes a bead and then a bigger bead. So it's all about where we want to be in that water columns as to what we present and the speed we need to move it at. So obviously, like I say, if you've got a heavier pattern and you want it lower, then obviously, yeah, we know being the heavy, it's going to go down, but we can move it quicker. But you're not going to be able to, the heavier pattern, if you're going to fish slow, obviously you're going to end up on the bottom at some point. So that's basically it. But as I say, I can go through lots of scenarios. There are a lot of things about presentation, but it's just remembering the basics of it for the basics, and hopefully you're going to pick up more fish. I got a bit of fishing on here. The day actually started off, we ended up with rain. From rain to dead flat, wind in this direction, and then an hour or so that it was going this way. But this is what this particular water's like. It's very demanding. It switches around and changing things as I'm fishing. I'm trying different levels, different speeds. If I've lost contact with the fish, then sometimes I'll let it come around with the wind. And sometimes obviously I'm going to mend it because I want it to go down. It's typical. Every time I get it set up, fish have gone down. Well, I've been fishing this little March brown static for ages and nothing. Just started to give it a bit of a retrieve. And this little brown trout just came up and smashed it. It's so aggressive. Beautiful little thing. Beautiful. Pretty, pretty. The little damsel that I was doing a couple of months back. The tape was so gentle, slow figure of eight, started pulling into the fish, seems like the fish is still asleep. Just woke up. Oh, just shit, yeah. It's a wonder that didn't snack me then. Straight out. I presented that to that fish 3 times and I couldn't do it any longer. I've got a small little March brown type thing in. There's a very small bead. Picked up more fish on that sort of pattern in these conditions than at most other patterns lately. Slowing it up. Oh, jeez. He's not that big, but he's strong. That tuck now on the hang. And I've put a dry fly on the water and that's worked. Right, it's a bit unexpected really. There's 1 or 2 fish moving on the top, very few fish. So it's quite nice to get one on the dry. Wow, he's a lively thing. Come on, fishy. Oh, and probably the smallest fish I've had in here for a long time. Where's the fly? In the net. That's good. Go on then, he's keen to get away. Off he goes. Okay, back out with the dry fly. Getting quite tricky to see it. It's a little blip. Eyesight isn't brilliant, so I just know roughly where it is, so I can keep an eye on that area.
Say there's one or two fish coming up, but it's slow. What I've got on here is not very good with the names of the dry flies. Probably a little black gnat or something. All I know, it's black, it's small, it's black, and it's got two little bits of white wing. And that is very hard to see. Not only is it a bit further away, it's in the shade of the tree, so it's blended into the whole background. This way, fish. Oh! Missed him. And that actually was quite a tidy looking fish. He was quite long. Okay, that was quite nice. Getting that one fish on the dry fly at the very end there did miss. Probably a good £4 or thereabouts, probably, maybe, I don't know, but I did miss that one. But the day's fishing, it's not been too bad. Conditions are tricky, but as I say, when you're presenting the fly out in the water, once you find that level, is to maintain that level if you can, whether it be a slow figure of 8, using the wind. I often use the wind, and as I say, if it's pulling it too quickly, generally mend it, just change the angle slightly. It does work, but it has been good. It's getting a bit late. We've got about another probably 20 minutes, half hour of light left. I've got a lot of gear to pack away, but I hope anything in this video has been useful, and what I'll do is catch you on the next video. So take care.